Sometimes when I open YouTube recently, I am forced to immediately close it. This is because I'm getting bombarded by this trend of ridiculous study videos. As soon as I see this on my feed, I just feel stressed. I don't feel like I'm relaxing, which is what I use YouTube for, so I just close it. There is this whole sort of subsection of study YouTube now that is dedicated to ridiculously long study videos. 8-hour study with me's, 10-hour study with me's, 12-hour, 14-hour, even 15-hour study with me videos. There are so many, and many of these videos are viewed millions of times. This is also accompanied by a lot of videos titled things like how I study for 70 hours in a week, 80 hours in a week, 100 hours in a week. There are so many of these videos. So I'm not talking about any individual creator, and I'm not trying to incite hate towards anyone. I just would like to make this video to highlight why I think this trend is unhealthy and maybe even damaging. So I've been making YouTube videos for a few years now, and I am a student, so a lot of the content I make is related to going to university, studying. I think especially over the last year there are more and more videos that are trying to fit into this trend of just being super shocking, super long, super outrageous. The first issue I have with these videos is that they set a really unrealistic standard. When there's this many videos of people studying 100 hours in a week, that begins to look like the norm and the standard and the baseline. And people are then going to compare themselves to it and feel inadequate and feel bad when they can't do that. Some of my friends have compared this study video trend to Instagram models, and how there's a lot of Instagram models who, have perfect bodies and travel everywhere and just have this perfect life that is kind of unrealistic to attain. And I think study videos are becoming kind of similar to that, in that we compare ourselves to these people doing these videos. We think that we should be like that, but we struggle to attain those hours of study and be like them. These videos could be completely untrue. In the same way that magazines airbrush models and Instagram models edit their pictures, these study videos, it's so easy to say that you've studied 12 hours in a day or you've studied 100 hours in a week, when actually you haven't done that, and you've edited your footage in a way to make it seem like you have. I know that these YouTubers are using these titles because it's clickbait and it's shocking and people are going to click on the video. I actually tweeted about this the other day after I got recommended a bunch of new study videos, and the tweet resonated with so many people. I got so many replies with people saying that yes, this trend is definitely unhealthy. It makes it look like this is the baseline, this is the standard. And also practically, if you're studying 100 hours in a week, that literally leaves time for nothing else. I think as well as this tweet, I've also been getting comments on my videos more and more often now with people kind of being like, thank you for talking about toxic productivity. Thank you for being honest about not having energy. Thank you for being honest about feeling no motivation. Thank you for just being honest about university life. Over the last few years, productivity YouTubers and self-improvement YouTubers have become extremely popular, and I think this study trend just goes hand in hand with that, and it's probably just a reflection of this wider productivity trend. While I definitely agree that these study videos, productivity videos, self-improvement, life tips, all of these videos can be useful, I think that they're shifting towards being more and more extreme. These people can definitely do whatever they want, and I'm not telling them to stop doing this. I'm just saying that there is not much conversation on the flip side of this. What are the negatives of this? People often talk about the positives, but no one on YouTube at least seems to be talking about how if you do this, you could get burnt out, you could get depressed, you could lose all of your friends if you're just sitting in your room studying. I think there's so many damaging, unhealthy consequences of these study trends, these productivity trends, that just aren't being discussed. On the flip side, I do understand that these videos can be a really good source of motivation and inspiration for some people, but I do think that they probably make more people feel inadequate and bad than they do inspire or motivate. I also think that people can make whatever videos they want to, and I'm sure that there are some people who do really enjoy productivity and do really enjoy studying for this amount of time. That is fine. I do think though that these people need to take some responsibility for the message they're promoting and sort of say, this is just something I enjoy, you don't need to do this, this is really, could be unhealthy for a lot of people. But I do think that this trend definitely feeds into toxic productivity, sort of the idea that productivity should trump everything else, and it's, how productive you are is the most important thing in your life. There also seems to be this lack of acceptance amongst this study community, productivity community, that being average at times is perfectly okay. There is nothing wrong if you come home, you're tired, and you just want to sit in front of the TV. That is fine. You don't need to come home and then do 5 hours of studying and do 5 hours of a side business and just completely neglect your own well-being. One thing that my friends told me about is that there are some people who now watch Netflix on 2x speed in order to maximize productivity. If you're watching Netflix on 2x speed, how are you enjoying the plot? How are you relaxing if your eyes are literally like erratically trying to follow along with what's happening and you're trying to listen at like 2x speed? Like, that's not fun, that's not relaxing. It just makes productivity seem like ridiculous. This brings me on to my next point, which I think is maybe the most worrying point. A lot of people watching these videos are younger viewers. They might not be in university yet, they might still be in school. They might be looking at what successful people are doing. When I was applying to medical school, I scoured the internet for information, for resources, for an idea of what medical school would be like. Because I didn't know anyone at medical school, I didn't know any doctors, there was no one to speak to about it. If I were applying to medical school now and went to YouTube to research, I would be bombarded by medical students studying for 70 hours, 100 hours in a week. I would have felt like, if this is what I have to do to be a medical student, I am not fit for medical school. I'm not going to survive there. And it's not just medical school. Loads of university YouTubers are doing this. People from disadvantaged backgrounds who have no one else to refer to, have no one else to look up to or speak to about university, are going to go to these videos and they're going to think that this is what you have to do to be a Cambridge student, to be a medical student, when you don't. It's just not true. This trend could be giving a very, very unrealistic idea of what university is like to young people. And that might put them off of applying. When you read this title of How I Study 100 Hours in a Week, that sounds impressive because you think, oh, this number 100 hours, that is such a long time to study. They must have really learned a lot. They must be doing really well academically. This is just not the case at all. The length of time you study could be spent terribly. Someone could study for 100 hours and have learned very little if they're studying ineffectively. On the flip side, someone could have studied 10 hours in a week and have learned so much more because they're working in a way which is effective for them. And it's the whole saying of study smarter, not harder. In life, we face a lot of pressures and stresses. Obviously, it depends on what you're doing with your life. If you are in a stressful job, if you are in a stressful family environment, we all face multiple stresses in our life. Education is one of them. Teachers might tell us that we are not doing well enough. Family might be disappointed in us or have loads of expectations. Friends might make comments about, you're not studying enough or you're studying too much. There's so many different forms of stress in our life. And I think things like YouTube, things like television, gaming, these are all forms of relaxation and a way to sort of de-stress. But YouTube is now becoming a space where if you watch any student-related content, you are eventually going to get recommended a ridiculously long study video. This is making YouTube into a platform that is no longer relaxing, but is just another form of stress and pressure and ridiculous standards. Also, as like a student creator as well, I do make videos with the words productivity in them. I do make content about studying. I have in the past even made like a video where I was in the library for 12 hours. I'm trying to really carefully balance being realistic about my life and sharing what medical school is actually like, while also trying to promote a healthy work-life balance. So I probably don't get it right all the time, and I'm sure that I have made videos or said things in videos that probably do feed into toxic productivity, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just saying that I'm not perfect, and I'm not criticizing the people making these videos. We should be aware of this trend, we should be aware that it is not the healthiest, and we should be aware that it is okay to not do this. I think if you are getting recommended these videos and they're beginning to stress you out, you just need to click not interested on the video or don't show me this channel, and hopefully that reduces the amount you're getting recommended this content. What I would like to say to everyone is that you do not need to be following this trend in order to be successful. Study a healthy amount and then also make time for relaxation and for things that you enjoy. Do not let studying ever become the only thing you are doing with your life. Yes, there are exceptions. If you have an important exam coming up, if you've got an essay due, sure, get it done. Make sure you still make time for things that improve your well-being and make you feel okay and happy. Don't ever drown in studying. It is not good for you, and you are more likely to burn out if you're doing this. I would really love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Do you think this trend is unhealthy? Do you think it's a good source of motivation? Please never feel like you are inadequate because you don't study enough. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.